Hey, this is Bryan. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. Welcome back to another video in our Chasing 1,000 Horsepower series in my F80 M3. If you saw our last video, you will have seen us remove the DCT transmission and the S55 out of our F80. And in today's video, we are prepping both the motor and also the car with some additional mods to be able to help us hit that 1,000 horsepower goal. Now, to help set an expectation for today's video, it is not a step-by-step DIY. As you can see, it's a pretty involved process. And it's not only the motor that we're swapping, we're doing a drive shaft, we're doing axles, we're doing a DCT clutch, we're going to be doing port injection, and a whole mess of other modifications. It's just way too much to do step-by-step. We just don't have that much time to do it. But we wanted to bring you along as we did it. So let's talk about some of the things that we're gonna do. First and the most obvious thing is we have a fully built motor. I would not recommend chasing 1,000 horsepower on a stock motor, or it's going to go boom. First thing we did is we bulletproofed the head and we made it as efficient and powerful as possible. We have strict cams in here, and Dave over at Head Games here in New Jersey did the head for us. We have videos on that and pulling the motor out and some other things, so if you haven't seen them, we'll link them for you down below. As far as the rest of the motor is concerned, it is fully built. We had Kratos build it for us down in Miami, Florida. So let's run through some of the things that they did, and then we'll put some B-roll of the different components on the screen. All right, so while the engine was at Kratos, the first thing that they did is they put in Kratos spec CP forged pistons with titanium coated crowns and dry film piston skirt coatings. They did CP 9310 thick walled wrist pins, which are some of the best on the market, Kratos spec Carrillo connecting rods, Kratos spec ARP head studs, ACL race rod bearings, Kratos spec piston rings and bearing clearances, and Kratos spec balance and blueprint rotating assembly. So basically most of the products that were installed into this motor are Kratos spec. If you guys know Kratos, you know that they know what they're doing. So they are the experts. Now, one of the things that we had talked about is, do we sleeve it? But we decided that this was the best way to go. And if you know about their car, they have north of 1,000 horsepower in their S55, which is basically what I have here with a couple changes like the strict cams and some other components, which we will talk about in a little bit. So this is definitely a recipe for success. Now, in addition to making things like your pistons and your rods and all that are bulletproof, we wanted to make sure that we had no chance of our hub slipping. So we installed a 4-pin one-piece crank hub, and we have this and actually all these different products linked for you down below in the description. As many of you know, especially on more like an N54, N55 problem, but we didn't want to have the problem on here. What can happen is your accessory belts can snap off, work their way through your crank seal right here, and then go into your engine and destroy it. So we developed the seal guard that goes in like that. It has this nice little lip on the back, so it just presses right in, it self-centers. It has super tight clearances, and you will be good for the life of your car. So this way, if your belt is to shred or snap off, it just doesn't have enough room to physically force its way in and destroy your motor. So I wanted to make sure that I was safe there. And then from here, there was only one other thing that we really felt was necessary, so we actually designed our own from scratch, and that was a bolt lock that would actually lock the crank bolt in place. You see, what happens is some of the guys online are saying that this bolt is actually backing out, which can cause a spun hub. And this is a lot of time, a lot of effort, and even more money. I did not want that to happen. So we developed our own crank bolt lock. Basically, the way that it works is you line up your crank pulley like this, and you slide over the Kies bolt lock. We have a stainless steel washer that slides on top. You don't have to worry about messing with all kinds of little washers. And then also, because we cut it out of a single piece of stainless steel, it pulls everything on more even, so that way there's a lot less chance of anything coming loose over time. From there, you bolt it down to the crank hub, and then this is rock solid. As you can see, this slides over our crank bolt, and we don't have to worry about that coming loose. And with it installed, should you need to ever turn the engine over by hand, we have a built-in hex, so that way it was super convenient to do so. And we made them available in this really nice blue, or if you want more of a stealth approach, I don't have a whole thing, I just have this piece over here with us for demo. But we also made a stealth one. We even made the steel washer black and the bolt heads black. So if you want your bolt lock to be super discreet, we have the stealth mode as well. Now I forgot yet another thing that we did to this. There's just so much that we did to this over the last year that I just keep forgetting things. So we did a Dorsch lift kit, which is going to give us roughly, I think it's 40% more fuel. And then we also have the M5 EU5 injectors in here. So we should get a ton of fuel flow and fuel delivery as it is now. Now, because I don't want to have to do this all twice, and since everything is apart, I figured, you know what? Let's get a port injection kit from Precision Racewerks, and we're going to throw that on. Now, initially, we're not going to tune for this, but I want to have it if we need it. I'm probably just going to start by having it tuned with like a flex fuel tune because we like to run Ignite Red here. However, right now it's like 25 degrees and we don't want to be running ethanol. So I do want to have that flexibility, and this is more going to future-proof it so that we don't have to rip everything apart yet again, since obviously everything is just completely wide open. Now is the time to do any of this stuff. So that's basically what we have going on as far as the fueling is concerned, and I am skipping over a ton of different little odds and ends. Like there's a new valve cover. We're just, while the motor is out, we're just doing a lot of different things. We have a new water pump, we have new thermostat, we have a new valve cover, just a lot of little odds and ends that we're not necessarily going to go into detail, just mainly want to show you some of the cool things. So although I should have done this like 3 years ago because I had one 2016 on my 328, we are going to be putting in a P3 gauge. We're going to be pushing a lot of power, so we want to be able to keep track of what our boost levels are and whatnot. At 1,000 horsepower plus ranges, you're going to snap your drive shaft. So that's just a fact. And again, I don't want to have to do any of this twice. So we bulletproofed it. So I bought one from Driveshaft shop, and as you can see, this is made from carbon fiber. And we also have some axles from them, which are over there in a box. It's not open, but you'll see them a little bit later in the video. All right, so as you can see over here, we have some products from Datsun. We have their DCT pan, which is super cool. So it's got a new filtration system and whatnot. And then we also have a Datsun DCT clutch. This is the Sportsman Plus. It's kind of heavy. Pull it out for you, just in case you want to see what a clutch pack looks like. So that's what it looks like. A lot of these parts, like even this clutch, I've had for like a year. So I'm super excited to finally get everything going. I will say, since we did have a little bit more time, we have added a couple parts like port injection, a couple other odds and ends. So it's really exciting to finally see this whole thing come out. Now, as far as cooling, we want to make sure that our temps are in control. So I love these things. They're like jewelry for the car. We have a Mosselman thermostat, which is going to be going in the car. And then the guys over at Mishimoto sent us a heat exchanger. They sent us a charge cooler and a couple other parts. So super excited to get some of that stuff going. Now, as far as turbos are concerned, we do have a set of the titanium Kratos on order, but they have not arrived yet. And we don't want to just put stock turbos back on. So what we did is we picked up a set of Mosselman turbos. These are rated at about 800 horsepower or so. Now, one thing that we have though, is we have a cam. And for those of you guys who watched our build on this car, we did 819 to the wheels, and it still had more in it on regular pure stage 2 turbos. So with that cam, we were able to get a really good amount of power. So super happy with that. So I'm gonna see if we can get these past 800 wheel horsepower, and then the Kratos is what's gonna take us most likely into the 4 digits. So just to show you a size comparison of the turbos from Mosselman and the ones that are on the car right now. So if you take a look right there, that little teeny tiny baby turbo is what comes on the car. And then this monstrosity is the Mosselman. So check that out. Significantly larger. And this sucker's gonna get us some really good power. But we wanna make sure that we are maximizing the power. Now, the stock car has this inlet, which is a little bit goofy shaped, and as you can see, there is a huge bottleneck there, and I don't think it's going to do this turbo any justice. So we are adding MST's all new inlet system for the S55 to get the most power possible. Let me show you that. So let me show you a little bit about how this works. So they have these really nice CNC machine pieces that are included here to maximize your flow. So this piece right here would replace the piece down here. It's gonna be a little bit hard for you to see, but it's pretty restrictive, and this really opens it up. And then on the front turbo, there's another little piece that you bolt up to the turbo, which enables you to mount up the MST inlet. Looks like that. So it's very similar to what you see on like a pure Stage 2 Plus turbo. So that is going to get mounted up there. Now, if you want to run this inlet on a factory turbo, they even give you this little adapter. So what happens is you throw this little adapter inside your stock turbo, then you can mount this piece, and then you can still run it even on a factory turbo. So if you're looking to just add better flow with what you have today, this is totally the ideal solution for both upgraded turbos and even stock turbos. Now, there are probably some little odds and ends pieces that I'm leaving out. I'll probably remember halfway through and be like, oh yeah, I forgot we have this too, or think about something like, oh yeah, we have that. One of the things that we are also doing while we're going this far, we might as well just do it right. We actually have a new bumper. This bumper is not perfect. This car was in some kind of accident before, and it's just been a little funky ever since I've owned it. So I actually have a new bumper. We have a new carbon front lip that's gonna go on it. And then the stock hood is not going back on. We have another hood that's going to be going on it. So we figure, you know what? The hood's coming off. You might as well put an upgraded hood on. You know, the bumper has to come off to do some cooling. Might as well put a new bumper on. And since there's gonna be a new bumper, we thought, you know what? Might as well put a new lip on. So there was a lot of might as wells with this build. But yeah, so as you can see, that is why we're not going to be going step by step, because we would be here for days. And we have some other projects we got to take care of. So anyway, I'm going to get started. I need to transfer over a lot of parts from the stock engine that was in my car to our new race engine. We have to bolt up the turbos. Also, for those of you who are wondering, I'm not going to be running NGK plugs. We actually have Brisk silver race plugs. So little something different there than what's normally done. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna get started. All right, so what I wanted to do is I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. We finished putting the motor back in around 11 p.m. yesterday. So we started our day around 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. We weren't doing this the entire time, but this consumed a good chunk of our day. As I mentioned before, I think we are doing port injection, but I'm not going to turn it on. So basically, because everything is already apart, it's like while we're there, we're going to set that up. What I ideally want to do is I want to try to run and just see how much power we can get without it. And then I do want to use it at some point. I don't want to turn it on day one. What I really want to do is I want to set it up for flex fuel so that I can run Ignite Red, which is E90 or 93, and have that flexibility and really see how far that'll take us before we have to add 6 more injectors. So what I'm doing now, our tech is going to come back later tonight. I'm replacing, I never installed this, I just kind of have it sitting here. I do have the Musselman titanium hardware. I had that over at the warehouse, had the run over there, so I'm going to be swapping that out. I'm going to torque that down. This doesn't have an oil filter in, we need to do that. Last night we put a brand new valve cover on, so that's good to go. Turbos and everything are all fully installed. Transmission is still out, it's still over there. We're probably going to put in our Dodson Sportsman Plus DCT clutch in tonight. And then with all of these part shortages, we ordered a couple parts, you know, a couple days ago, and normally you would get them next day because BMW has a warehouse that's pretty close to here, but it's like days are turning into weeks. So I'm not really sure. We need some flywheel bolts because they're not reusable. So we can't fully put the flywheel back on until we do that. We did also run into another little issue. We have a drive shaft from Driveshaft shop, and it is carbon fiber. And it looks really cool, except the flange doesn't line up. But I reached out to them and they were happy to send me the correct adapter that I needed. So that was a huge relief. So tonight we are going to pull out the drive shaft, which takes a little bit of effort. We are going to put the clutch in. We retimed the engine. And honestly, I'm not really sure what else we're gonna do tonight. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to work on the low pressure fuel pump, because with port injection, it's definitely something that you need. So we have our new low pressure fuel pump from Precision Racewerks. We have a lot of wiring and also some new fuel lines. So with that, I'm gonna get started on that. And then a little bit later, Gary is gonna help me replace the heat exchanger, which we've already done once on this car. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna go everything to Michi this time. And then once we remove the bumper to put the new heat exchanger in, it's gonna get a brand new bumper. So it's gonna be a little bit ugly for a little while. And we also have a new hood that's over there on the rack. It's been here for like a year. Most of the stuff we've had for over a year. So a little bit delayed, but we're making good progress. All right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install my titanium hardware, torque it down on my amazing looking Musselman thermostat, and get rid of these old ones that are just kind of loose and holding it in place. All right, so I just wanted to stop and just check in with you guys for a little bit. So right now, I guess this is day 3 of our adventure with this. It's about 6 p.m., so round 2 for the day. We'll probably work another 2-3 hours or so, maybe. We'll see. Today's goal is, as you saw a little while ago, we installed like 90% of the port injection kit. Now, for those of you who know, I installed the boot mode flex fuel kit in here, which is really cool because it just goes right on top of your low pressure fuel pump. However, the problem is that with the Precision Racewerks setup, and it's not just them, it's anybody who's going to run aftermarket port injection with an upgraded low pressure fuel pump, there's an extra port which kind of is in the way for this. So I'm gonna see, it does have an AN fitting. I think it's a 6 AN, going from memory here, but I think I have a solution on how I can still mount this. I just have to extend some of the wires. Not exactly conventional, not exactly how this was designed, but I think we can make it work. But anyway, tonight's goal is to remove the factory drive shaft. There is a special BMW tool that you need to do it. It's like a 50 mil open-ended wrench thing on like a 4-foot pole, and there's a lot of torque involved. So we're gonna try to take off that. I tightened up the Musselman thermostat with the new titanium hardware. You can see on the front of my car, we have the J-pipe. I've already installed the Hobbs switch, and then also I have another bung in there where I have my boost tap that's going to be coming out. And yeah, we just have a lot to do. Besides taking the drive shaft down, I think we're going to put the Dodson DCT clutch into the transmission. We are waiting on some flywheel bolts that are taking a little while to come in. So we can't mount the transmission tonight unless they came in today and I wasn't really aware. But yeah, still a lot to do. And there are parts everywhere in the shop right now. So I gotta get back to work.
Can you help me hold something? I just don't want that to move.
Don't want what to move? I'm sorry.
This, just hold it really tight.
This way? Oh, oh God! Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh no!
So if you didn't know, when we got this car, we had later found out that it had been in an accident once we did the crank hub. And there's, like, if you look over here, this piece is all squished together. Where over here, it's much more separated. There's some bent things, there's some replaced things. And one of the things that's always driven me nuts is that when you take apart the front end, there's like all kinds of different nuts and bolts. Everything was completely different. So we got some super high grade, I think it's 12.9 grade hardware. And we are just trying to make everything consistent. So the next time we go to remove stuff, we're gonna take out all the same bolt instead of having, it's like, what the heck, who's the Phillips here? So I'm glad we're doing this because it's definitely reinforcing everything and making it perfect. Alright, so as you can see, we have everything like 92% assembled. All critical components are on the car right now. As you can see, there's a lot of bracing off. We upgraded to some Kies charge pipes. We have some Mishimoto cooling. Muscleman, a lot of really cool stuff. Can't wait to finally start this thing up. Now that I have everything here, at this point we still have the low pressure fuel pump completely disconnected. We need to prime the engine. We have break-in oil in right now, and then we just topped off all of the coolant. But before I can do our first start, we need to code the injectors because we have EU5 M5 injectors, and if I try to start it now as it is, it's going to be an epic disaster. So that being said, I'm going to jump into the car. I'm going to code them, and then we're going to start priming, and then we're going to fire this thing up for the very first time. What we're doing now is we are entering all of the injector values because these are different than the stock ones. So these are EU5 F10 M5 injectors. So I need to tell the car what they are. And we are good. So what I need to do now is I need to flash my base map from Kerry Jordan, and then we will be able to get the car started. Right, it is prime time, and what I mean by that is, well, we need to prime the engine to get the oil flowing. So basically we have the fuel line completely disconnected, and we are going to try to start the car, but it's obviously not going to start. It's going to get the oil pump going, and it's going to properly lubricate the motor. Then once we have our new map, we're going to flash the car and then start it up for the very first time. All right, so at this point, Kerry Jordan has sent us over our base tune for the F80, and as you can see, we have successfully downloaded it. So now I'm gonna flash the car, and then we're gonna start it for the very first time. We're getting there. It's alive! We did it. We got it started. All right, I'm gonna go check it out, make sure everything is good. Make sure we don't have to suddenly shut it off or anything, because a lot of new going on this one here. Perfect, flex fuel's working. We're running E30. We got some smoke up there, which is normal on all new turbos. I wish you remember that. That's okay. All right, so far everything is great. I don't know if you can hear or not, but rock steady idle. Look at it. We did cams on another car when they were brand new and not many guys really knew what to do. It wasn't Kerry at the time. But when we first started the car, it sounded like a Chevelle. It was like whop up, boop whop. It was crazy. Those are what cams sound like if you didn't know. Those are an accurate representation. So yeah, we're just going to let the car just idle, come up to temperature. We're gonna check the coolant, check all the lines, make sure there's no leaks, just go through a lot of the routine stuff, and we're good to go. I am so excited. I haven't started this car in 2 full months, maybe 3. It's been a while. We got all the stuff done, and then we had some stuff happen, and then more things happen, and then yeah, so very exciting. At this part of the process, we let the car run for about 35-40 minutes or so, just at complete idle with Kerry Jordan's base tune. And now it is time to drain the break-in oil, and we're just going to inspect it, just check it out. And then we're going to refill it, and then I have to calibrate the clutch, do a couple other things. And then we'll be able to begin our break-in period of about 1,000 miles on the car. So why don't you sit back and watch me get third-degree burns as I drain super hot oil from my F80 M3. All right, so we've been at this for 2 hours or so now, trying to dial in. So we have
the upgraded Dorch fuel pump. We have the EU5 injectors. We have a cam, big turbos. Like, so this is far from stock. So there's definitely a lot of work that has to go into it. So we're trying to get it to a point where we can get the idle smooth enough. The idle is actually really smooth right now. We've had probably 3 revisions since we last filmed. Everything seems pretty solid. For some reason, it just hates it, so it won't. Basically, what's happening is we have to tell the car when the new clutch is engaging. So you have to find what they call the kiss point. So basically, we have an aggressive Datsun clutch. So it thinks that the stock clutch is in. So if you try to drive on it, basically it's like if you're driving stick, it's like you're either in neutral or you're dumping the clutch. So it's like full engagement or none. There's no like slippage. So we're trying to get it to do the test where it feels that kiss point, but it doesn't want to do it. So I'm just hoping that as we work with Carrie, we can smoothen everything out, and then that'll solve the issue. I really don't want to have to take the trans back out to check anything, because that would be awful. But it is something that, you know, if we can't figure it out this way, that is literally the last thing that I want to do. Everything went in fine though, and everything went in according to plan. So I don't think that's it, but more testing we will do.
Welcome back to yet another day. Now, the last time that you guys saw me in this video was about 5 days ago before we went to BMW Invasion. I ran out of time, wasn't able to get everything buttoned up. Actually, I had the car on the lift after you guys last saw it, and I discovered a fuel leak, which is something you guys always need to double check yourself on. I double, triple, quadruple check myself, and then I still had one. So just always something you need to always be very mindful of, because even a little gas will cause a large fire. So always carry a fire extinguisher in your cars as well, even if you're not modifying. So it has been a crazy whirlwind process. As many of you know, we actually started this project around Christmas. Right now is February 23rd at 8:15 in the morning. The process started, it was going super strong. You know, I've kind of hinted at it throughout the video. We're gonna have a video after this one on it, but our operations manager went into the hospital at that point, and then actually ended up passing away after 2 months. So very good friend of mine of 15 years. So it's been a whirlwind. So we definitely needed a win on the other side. Actually, today is his birthday, so today's probably gonna be a little bit of a tough day. But all that to say, I've been trying to put in 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there. One of the biggest struggles that I had, especially because the car has a cam and it's just a little challenging in the beginning to get the idle smooth. The car did not want to calibrate the kiss point when it touches the clutch. You have to basically make it so it's not like on off. You have to be able to ease it in. So for whatever reason, it just hated it. It probably took me, honestly, 30, 40, I don't want to say 50, maybe 30 or 40 tries to get it right. And it's just all through ISTA, it's just, it works or it doesn't. And then you try something else. I try moving the car, I try putting it in reverse, I try going through the gears, just tried going through some of the different sequences. So huge pain in the butt. So if I had 10 minutes here, I jumped in, I tried to do it, 15 minutes here. So anyway, let's start this thing up and drive it for the very first time successfully. So hopefully this video goes well, because this is the end. Well, sort of. After this, we have to drive at 1,000 miles to break it in. So there will be a little bit delay because we saved, well, I think this is video 4 of the series. After this, I am gonna have to drive 1,000 miles. You guys are kind of caught up to speed. I mean, we filmed the last video series over the last year. So anyway, let's start this thing up. Here we go. Success. You know what's really funny? The initial, if you've driven an F80, you know, it's best to kind of like tap the gas and then, you know, it eases you into it. It's not like a regular automatic where you lift off and then you're going. You have to, it's kind of like driving a manual. When you first start, you kind of just like blip the throttle and then you can go. It's actually so much smoother now with my Datsun upgraded DCT clutch.
I don't know why. Maybe I did a good job calibrating it. Maybe it was the 50 times I did it. Who knows? But yeah, let me go shut the garage and then we'll take it for its very first drive. I think my drive shaft's hitting something. It's buzzing a little bit, but not too bad. I knew that that was a chance, so we're gonna have to alter where the e-brake lines are. But so far, even off our base tune from Kerry, it's driving great. I gotta say, this is super rewarding after, you know, how long this process took, and, you know, just events that took place during this whole thing, and the fact that I actually dropped my G80 off somewhere yesterday for 2 weeks, so I'm not gonna have that. So, and I gotta put 1,000 miles. I gotta reset the odometer. There we go. It's already reset. Yeah, super excited. So can't wait to break this car in, and then we can put down some serious power. I mean, right now it probably just has, I don't know, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 horsepower. So it's just super conservative right now as we're just getting everything properly broken in. There's a whole sequence I have to go through. Like I said, I have to drive it 1,000 miles. But yeah, I am super excited. So be sure to stay tuned, because I'm gonna drive this car as much as I can so that we can get this thing on the dyno as fast as we can. I got a really annoying buzz going on here from my drive shaft. That's so annoying. It's fine. I knew it was a possibility, so can't say I'm surprised. All right, well, I'm gonna stop filming because I gotta make sure that everything's good with this car. But like I said, here's basically the plan. Step one, we're going to drive this car 1,000 miles. I'm going to fix some weird things like the drive shaft buzzing at low speeds. I'm not really sure why it's doing it, but I do understand that it's possible that it's hitting something, and I know what it's most likely hitting, because I was warned about that before. Number two, after that, we are going to tune this car, and we are going to see what kind of power we can put down with flex fuel. Again, we can't really start to tune the car. I can't even really drive it all that hard until we get miles on this car. So then Kerry Jordan is going to help us. He's actually got us our initial tune, and we have this thing set up for flex fuel. So we're gonna see how much power we can pull out of 93 octane, and then we're going to see on the opposite end, you know, how much power we can pull out of Ignite Red, because it does have an upgraded low pressure fuel pump. It has the Dorsch lift kit, it has the EU5 F10 M5 injectors, and yeah, we're gonna see basically what we can push the car to and see what the limiting factor is. From there, we're gonna just push the limits a little bit and see what kind of fails first. Not fails necessarily, but like make sure that all the components can keep up. Like, you know, is it a fuel issue? Do we have plenty of fuel? Do we need to add fuel? Do we need a bigger turbo? Like, just kind of take the car as it is, just ramp it up, and then basically just take it day by day and just see what it needs and where the weak point is, and upgrade it. We are proactively going to be upgrading some things. As you know, we did the drive shaft, which is buzzing and makes it sound like I have a Honda Civic exhaust in here. There's also some other things that we bought for the car that we just didn't install, mostly due to the time. Like I have upgraded drive shaft shop axles, and we have a couple other mods that we just didn't get around to putting on the car. So needless to say, we have a lot more coming for this car, but I just needed to get it to a point where it was drivable, where I could start to put some miles on it, and then from there we can you know, we can go wild and just basically test some of the limits and see what can take what. The motor should be fine, should be, you know, and then we'll just take it from there. So anyway, once again, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, check us out at kiesmotorsports.com. Get ready for the Honda exhaust. VTech! Maybe I'll leave it like that. Just take people for rides and freak them out. It's so funny. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next video.